After 6 long years, Rick Grimes returns with 6 episodes in The Ones Who Live. Welcome back to Fog Entertainment. This one was titled Years. It's the return of the greatest Walking Dead character. Is it?
The GOAT, Rick Grimes, the only one that matters at this point.
Yeah, the only guy that matters. And you know what? I think they have went balls to the wall here. It's 13.7 million an episode they're splashing on this. And I think you could see that. Obviously it's like movie level budget because this was originally supposed to be movies, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, straight away, I know we've only seen one episode, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this will be the best Walking Dead spin-off. That it's going to be better than Daryl Dixon and Dead City for me. Yeah, I think already, just after one episode, production-wise, it does look levels above. And I actually thought the episode was good. It was pretty good to see Rick. I actually enjoyed some of the characters that they introduced. There was some like flashbacks where Rick would just be having like imaginary instances that did not happen. They had this bench and they would keep going back to a bench where Rick would just sit on a bench and imagine he was speaking to Michonne almost in a life prior to the apocalypse, and I didn't really like that.
Do you want to eat pizza, Michonne?
It felt like it was a way just to include Michonne in the premiere rather than just have her come in right at the end. So yeah, if you don't want any spoilers, then click out now. We're reviewing this Sunday. I believe it doesn't premiere on AMC until Sunday night. However, if you have AMC Plus and if you pay for AMC Plus like we do, because we would never legally stream anything, then you can get it 24 hours early.
So before we get into the episode, IMDb's rated at 9.8 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 85%, and the description is, in another world built on a war against the dead, Rick Grimes and Michonne attempt to find each other and who they were. And also, before we get into it, I think it does feel different. It doesn't feel like The Walking Dead. I think you can spin that as a negative or a positive. I'm
going to say that's a positive. I think we've seen too much Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead ended on a low. Let's keep it real here. It didn't end on a high. Nobody is really begging to see more Walking Dead, okay? That's not what's happening here. And if anything, I think people are sick of watching The Walking Dead. So therefore, having this brand new show that feels different and doesn't feel like the old Walking Dead is 100% a good thing, in my opinion.
I agree to a degree, because you got to look at it. If it doesn't feel like the same show, despite the fact that the Negan and Maggie story and the Daryl one is set pretty much in the same timeline, does that not make the universe kind of lopsided? Like, why does the Rick one feel like this, but the other two, which is set in the exact same time, feels so different?
And it's good. You don't want them all to feel the same. If they're going to feel... See, if all three spin-offs are going to feel the same, what's the point of having them?
No, but I want them to be different. But I feel like this almost feels like it's futuristic, and it's like it's like Rick's been frozen in time, frozen in Antarctica, and he's just been reawoken or something. I like the fact that it feels fresh.
Yeah, so
maybe it's more of a bashing point on the other two compared to Rick.
Well, let's dive into the actual episode. So pretty much straight away, Rick loses a hand. Was not expecting this.
Immediately, it's an iconic moment. It's the the biggest character in The Walking Dead losing a limb.
Now, I thought he would lose his hand, but I imagined it would be later on in the season.
Like a cliffhanger to end the episode.
Didn't think it was going to happen in the first opening couple of minutes. It does happen, but the cutting of the hand was so dumb. So you see Rick, he's with these other soldiers, but you think he's a soldier, but in reality he is... Basically, he's like a prisoner. The soldier is behind Rick and he's on like a leash. It's very fucking weird. Gave me slavery vibes. And Rick and this crew are sent in to kill walkers. So he's killing walkers, but he's like on this leash, like I said. And then he decides that he's going to try and run away because he wants to escape. He's in the part of the Civic Republic. They're holding him hostage, essentially. So he decides he's going to cut his hand off because his hand is linked. That's where he's been chained by. So he's going to cut his hand off, then try and run away. But does he not factor in blood loss and the fact that you cut your hand off, you're going to be slowing down, you're going to pass out, and you're just going to be recaptured? That's exactly what happened. He gets an axe, he cuts his own hand off, then literally a couple minutes later they just catch him.
But see, does this do a good job of showing the height of what Rick's willing to do to get back to his family, or does it do a bad job in burying the Rick character and make him look really stupid?
I think it was dumb. I mean, he should have bided his time. Cutting his hand off here was not a good idea.
Yeah, you look at Merle, he had to. The Rick here, You think he would have fought it through? At this point, you're already he waited 5 years and he cut his arm off. Like, it's not like he cut his arm off and he would be on the run for like an hour before anyone knew. As soon as he cut his arm off, the guy knew.
They're going to be on him and they're going to catch him, and that's exactly what they did.
And it's not like he just cut, like, 4 fingers. Like, he cut the full fucking shebang off.
And when Rick regains consciousness, he's been held hostage again, so he essentially cut his hand off for no reason.
What's he got to do? Cut the other one off?
We then learn a little bit more about the Civic Republic. We learn about A's and B's. Essentially, Rick was a B. It shows you when Jadis found him, Rick was a B. Even though, I mean, I don't know, Rick seems like an A to me. He seems like an A+ character to me. So we'll learn more about that. We got all these flashbacks, and you can definitely tell that they are trying to push this love story between Rick and Michonne. And maybe we should rant about it more in a different video, but I'm not understanding why Rick is so obsessed with Michonne and not his fucking daughter. It makes no sense to me, or the rest of the group. We're supposed to believe that Rick and Darryl are like brothers, and Darryl gets no mention.
Darryl spends his entire existence trying to find Rick, and Rick doesn't even know his name anymore.
Rick doesn't even care if Darryl's still breathing. I can accept that, yeah, Rick cares about Michonne and whatnot, but why is Michonne taking the priority over his daughter? His daughter never even gets a mention. All you see is these scenes between Rick and Michonne, and the imaginary scenes, and then like the scenes from the past, the flashback scenes, and like Rick's sole focus seems to be on finding Michonne. But like back when The Walking Dead started, Rick's focus was his family, Laurie and Carl.
Yeah, and now it's just as Michonne. Again, I think it's just the whole race relationship, mixed race. They're forcing it down our throat. I mean, they met Michonne back in season 3. They don't really become a couple till like season 8, and it's like, if they were really this madly, deeply in love, would they not have had some sort of relationship pretty early on?
It's pretty much like if she was the only woman left.
Yeah, I think he doesn't mention Judith by name, but later in this episode, he says he wants to find his wife, and then he mentions his daughter, later on.
Yeah, but how many mentions did Michonne and his wife get?
Yeah, they're ramming it
in comparison to
I
Judith.
actually think it would have been better if Michonne didn't appear in this episode until the very end, when it was revealed she was the one that shot down this helicopter.
Yeah, so Rick gets promoted to the Civic Republic.
He's an officer.
Basically, he's tried to escape 4 or 5 times, and he's not going to be able to escape, so he accepts a promotion. We get introduced to some other characters. We had Esteban Garcia, who was friendly with Rick. He was water power management. And
he was quite funny, this guy.
We have Donald Okafor, who was a colonel in the Civic Republic, and he's the one that's basically recruited Rick. He didn't find Rick, but he's basically the one. He saved Rick's life multiple times, and he's the one that recruited him basically into the Civic Republic. He took Rick from being a B to an A to a member of the Civic Republic.
And this guy also firebombed Atlanta, firebombed LA. But the problem with this is, guys, he's quite young to be a top colonel guy 15 years ago. I mean, were we led to believe that this guy in his early 20s was a shot caller and one of the guys that was putting out hits on cities at the start of the zombie apocalypse? You look at Rick, you look at other people here, they're almost 50, sorry. And I think being in your 30s is more believable to be a high-ranking officer. Not that Rick was, he was some job or sheriff at the end of the day. But this grinded our gears, didn't it? I actually liked this guy. I thought he was a strong character. The lines he said to Rick, they came across well, and then he just gets killed.
He reminded me of is it Gus from The Punisher? Who's the black guy for The Punisher with the one leg?
Aye, him. I know who you're on about.
The guy that did the meetings and stuff.
The AA things. I can't remember his name. He has an order.
He reminded me of him, so
that's what I would say. Everyone they introduced, right?
I like Donna Coffer. We get introduced to Pearl 4, and she was like a
South African.
She was in the South African army as well.
I did some volleyball, Rick and I. There when I came, I was half years.
Yeah, she gets promoted as well, and she's Rick's partner in this. Not romantic partner, but I guess official working partner. Although her accent's very thick, so it was hard to really understand her. Plus, any sort of conversations where she had with Rick, it's almost like she came out on top, superior. So, it's almost like pushing the women's.
And what I would say, right, at least she was military pre-like.
Yeah, it's not like
Orthodox.
Carol.
It's not like a Carol situation. So, and you know what, she does come across as legit. It doesn't come across as woke her. Overall, I thought they did a pretty good introduction of all these characters, but then we get Garcia sits down with Rick. Rick's like, I'm no furloughed today, I'm getting promoted, I'm officer friendly, but officer CRM. The guy's like, I can't help you, Rick, these blueprints are no good, but I wouldn't tell you this. And then he starts sitting there, there's a manhole there, if you go 150 metres and there's a padlock, then you go 1
Combination 3499.
But I didn't tell you that, Rick. I like this guy.
I like the way he planned it out. So he gives Rick an escape route.
He gets like deniability, plausible deniability.
Yeah, so he gives Rick this escape route, and Rick attempts to do it. However, he kills a couple of walkers, then he's going to kill this other walker, but it turns out it's not a walker, it's a child that's actually alive.
Who's apparently been following her dead parents around who have been zombified, which I'm calling bullshit on. Right, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so Rick's got a grenade in his good hand, he's ready to throw it, but he can't throw it because of this child, so he has to abort his escape plan. He gets out to save the child, and also Pearl's there, she helps Rick, and then they kill all the walkers, and Rick basically has to just give up on this. She says, what you doing? Don't get yourself killed. And she gives him his helmet back, and Rick just goes back to being part of the CMR because there's no escape here for Rick. I just didn't really understand how this kid was following her zombified parents around. Look how many walkers were here, and look how dangerous that this scene was for Rick. Right? He was in a bad situation here. Him and Pearl had to take out about a dozen, 15, 20 walkers, yet this kid was somehow walking among them and not getting attacked.
Yeah, it's not like she, if she was covered in guts, if she actually fought her mum or dad, like, would it not have been alright? Anyway, Rick's plan's been forth that he has to go back to the CRM.
No, but I think there's sometimes when The Walking Dead just does stuff like this and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it does annoy me.
No, but it's things like this. I've mentioned the Colonel guy's age. I think that is a bit of an issue, right? Not compared to this. This is like a complete plot hole. But why include something like this? Why couldn't it have just been a kid that was scared and alone, and it's the reason why Rick didn't go down the manhole? But no, they had to spin some other shite with two zombified parents, man.
You're looking too much into the Colonel thing. The guy just looks a bit young. He's 40 years old.
I need to know what face cream he uses, alright?
Right.
Leave it down in the comments below what you think he uses. But anyway, let's get back to the CRM, because he gets told here by Pearl Thorne. See that guy that uses that specific face cream? He knows a lot about you, Rick. And Michonne uses the same face cream as him. That's how he knows all about you. So what happens? Rick confronts this guy. I thought this entire confrontation was pretty good. Rick laying down the law. This guy reveals everything. Oh, well, Rick, we knew where we got you. There's not many names like Michonne in this day and age, so it wouldn't be hard to find her. And then that's what set Rick off.
Bit of a threat there.
Bit of a threat there for this guy. This guy was looking a bit weak here, but then... But overall, I enjoyed this scene between Okafor and Rick Grimes. I'm going to show you my overproportioned muscles very soon, like Trevor would do over on that Sorry Excuse Ya channel, where I'm sure he's gave this episode a 10, but we're almost near the ending of it. But I really enjoyed this scene. Would I go as far as saying it was the best scene of the episode? I probably would, but I think there was a scene at the start of the episode that I'll label as pretty good towards the end of this review. But what's Rick proceed to do after this? He gets a bit of glass in his room, and as we seen in the intro, it was a bit of a weird intro. Like, Rick just cut himself with glass. I guess now it makes a bit more sense. He's writing in his wee books and his wee memoirs. Oh, Michonne, this is going to be the last time I write to you, because I might end it. But then what's the point of ending it? Because I'm Rick Grimes, and it would just mean the last 10 years have been for nothing. And there was a few discretion advised, monitor things. Discretion, that's the word I'm looking for. Again, was that really necessary? You wouldn't get that 20 years ago.
Nah, but we live in a world now where, I mean, if anything like that happens, they almost have to give you some sort of warning.
It's a TV show with zombies.
Because it could trigger you.
But it's a TV show with zombies.
No, I can accept that. Like, if it's a kid's show and someone's going to kill themselves, then maybe.
Aye.
But, I mean, see if something is 15, 18, age restricted, why do you need warnings?
Yeah, like, I know WWE's done it in UFC, like TVMA, but that's alright.
It's absolutely pathetic.
No, it is pathetic, but Rick, he's in
No, but see if you, I don't give a fuck what you've went through personally in your life, right? See if you're so traumatised that you're going to get triggered because of events on a fake television show, are going to somehow, then just don't watch TV. Yeah. You may as well just throw your TV in the bin.
May as well throw it in the bin, but you may as well throw their helicopter in the bin, because Okafor and Rick are flying through the air. Rick's giving this story about when he was 7 years old. Didn't really dig the story, but here, I'll tell you about that. Okafor's digging a spear right to the chest, and then it blows him up, and it's like, they've really established this great character. I would go as far as saying this guy is pretty great by recent modern Walking Dead standards.
Yeah, so
and he just gets fucking
He just
blown.
gets like some explosive spear through the chest, and it explodes. Blood just goes everywhere into the cockpit of the helicopter. Rick then somehow manages to try and get the helicopter down. The helicopter crashes, but Rick gets out with a couple of other people. But they are quickly sliced down by someone with a big katana.
Wearing like an American football helmet for like the 50s or something, and it's Michonne. For some reason, she didn't slice Rick's throat because she had to see his face first. Big reveal, big ending.
Well, she tried to, but Rick blocked it with his metal hand.
His metal hand, which I think is looking quite good for Rick. But that's the end of the episode, and I think this would have just been better if Michonne hadn't appeared before. I think seeing her in all these like imaginary hallucinations didn't really add anything to the episode, and I think the first time us seeing Michonne in the show actually reuniting with Rick would have been more impactful than the wee imaginary pizza dates they were on. But anyway, guys, that's it. I think this show delivered. I wasn't expecting much from it. I mean, 5 minutes in, you're getting an iconic scene. I don't care what anyone says. Rick, the main character of The Walking Dead, losing a limb is iconic. And I'm not going to cry the whole path of, well, it happened in the comics, so it's automatically great. I did think it was a wee bit idiotic for Rick to go down that road of cutting the limb off, but not nonetheless, iconic scene, and I'll give it a 7 out of 10 this episode.
I'm also giving it a 7.
I think this show will probably be the best show of 2024.
I mean, well, I don't know about that. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops off. It was a good premiere.
Well, no, it could drop off.
I wouldn't be surprised if it drops off, because I also thought the Dead City premiere was pretty good, and that dropped off massively.
Oh, it did, but I just think with Rick, you've got a lot more potential here. I think the CRM's got more potential than, what do you call it, the what's that guy? The Gorad, or the Scrotum, whatever the hell he was called.
We could be looking at a situation where the premiere is movie-like, and then the other 5 episodes are just Fear the Walking Dead budget.
It says they've spent about 14 million though in each episode, so hopefully
we'll find it. Look, it was a good episode, 7 out of 10 for me. I didn't enjoy all the flashbacks. It disrupted the rhythm, I think, of the episode. It's like you want to know what's happening in the now and then. I don't want to see imaginary scenes that never happened. At least flashbacks can add stuff, but
it took away from the ending.
A lot of the sequences that we had throughout the episode was Rick imagining like a life with Michonne without this apocalypse, as if he was just living a normal life, doing a normal job, and it was scenes that just never ever happened. And it wasn't once. They had about 4 or 5 of these. There was way too many.
If you take out the flashbacks, right,
they weren't flashbacks. They were imaginary
hallucinations, right?
Hallucinations.
It adds to the episode, and also it adds to the ending. I think the ending would have just achieved more if that was the first time we'd seen Michonne, and I'd probably be looking like an 8 out of 10 for this episode. But anyway, 7 out of 10 for Walking Dead in 2024 from Fog Entertainment. It's pretty damn fucking good.
So. Good episode. I mean, some people are going to get carried away. People are going to say it was great. I mean,
IDMB giving it a 9.8 is ridiculous in my eyes. I
could accept a 9 out of 10. I personally don't think it was, but I mean, if someone wants to give it a 9 out of 10, that's fair enough. But let's not say it was 10 out of 10. Let's not say it was anything more than that.
Did they deliver on Rick's return? Absolutely. I'll go as far as saying that. But anyway, guys, till next time, we've delivered this review, and peace.